Agent 333, how y'all doing? I'm gonna give you guys a quick settings video. I've had a few people ask me, and this is probably long overdue, but I've had quite a few people ask me in the last several months, what's my setting profile. So we're gonna run through it real quick on the main menu. Note that this is for a ultra wide setup, but you can still apply my settings to a 1440 and even a 1080 panel. And I'm gonna go through some tips on what I know about the settings specifically for Arma Reforger. So as you guys can see, borderless full screen is usually always a go-to on the modern titles. You can always just test that yourself. Borderless, I would always say go, especially if you have multiple monitors. Unless you're playing on an older GPU, keep your render scale at 100 always. If you've got a 24 gigabyte GPU, you might be able to bump that up. And this is for AMD, so you can see I have a Fidelity FX option here. Never use that as of right now. That's for lower upscaling or some sort of stuff like that. VSync can be useful for some people's setups. For mine, I'm kind of stick to 144 hertz most of the time. Sometimes I play 165, but that is never needed. So always know on that. FPS limit, I do not use the in-game FPS limit. I would say use a third-party program to lock your FPS, or within AMD Adrenalin, you can use FRTC or Frame Target Control, whatever it's called. That's a good one to use rather than using the in-game. We have a new draw distance slider now that goes all the way up to 12K apparently. So I guess this came with the new update. I hang out around 3500 to 4K. I would say if you're gonna play in the helicopters only, you might want to bump that up. But for the sake of ground scale and ground game, I find that 35 4K is usually plenty. Usually super plenty. Depth of field, that's totally a personable setting. It's up to you. 2D scopes, you would only use that if you're performance limited. Use software cursor. I like the, I guess that's the mouse cursor, so no. Alright, post-processing. I like to stick to SMAA low. You can go high. For me, this is a sweet spot in clarity. Since I'm going to be using the hardware anti-aliasing down here as well. So I use both of them. So I like that on the SMAA low, and then no depth of field, no ambient occlusion. You could use some of this, but it's gonna use a little bit of resources, just a little bit. Screen space, same thing. You can use this, but it's gonna use a little bit of resources. Context shadows, I do not like and I do not use. I'm not a big fan of certain shadows and certain titles. So like I said, this is an AMD centered video. So the hardware anti-aliasing, I like to stick to 2x. This is the actual GPU setting that you're going to be selecting right here. This is how much resource your GPU is going to put into the actual anti-aliasing. So I find that 2x is good for a recording streaming setup. You could easily bump this up, but you will notice hitching from time to time, and you might have to lower your render distance with it. I like to keep foliage smoothing, grass and trees. That's definitely manageable with the 2x, so it covers more foliage. And the models I like to keep on high. Likely could put that on ultra, depending on your setup, but for the sake of streaming and recording. Object draw distance is important. That's like the rendering of, static objects, houses, and I believe this works for vehicles, so I like to keep that at ultra. I like to keep this one for terrain. I like to keep this one on the third one up. The HQ just eats up more resources, but parallax and shadows gives you depth to the terrain that you're walking on, like the grass, the wood, the trees, the leaves, all the little sticks that you're walking on. gives it a little bit of depth. Texture detail, this is really just performance. Just set it to whatever your system can handle. Just test out yourself all these settings. Always do it in a full lobby though. Get into a full lobby when you test these things. Don't test it out in Game Master. Don't test it out. Test it out in a 128 player lobby. That's how you get true results. Grass quality is sort of questionable in this game. I hang around medium, and this setting does always resets for me. So I prefer 130 meters on the draw distance, but it always resets to 50, 150. So if you experience any, performance, you can jack that down, no problem. Shadow quality, I stick on medium. If you go to low, you will notice some artifacting and some shadow issues in cockpits and inside vehicles and coming in and out of buildings. So I find that medium is as low as you want to go. Now this one is an important one right here. Distant shadows. Some servers force settings such as draw distance and shadows, and a lot of servers will force this setting right here. But if it allows you to, you want to put this on none. If you have a really good computer, you could probably put this on whatever you want just for it to look pretty. But I find that putting this on none helps visibility, and it gives a big performance overhead. Very, very big performance overhead. And let's see, we got 2 left. Render target format, keep that on standard. I'm not really sure what it is. I keep that on standard. And then environment quality, I always keep that on low because I don't notice much of a difference with that raised at all. So audio, this is how I run my audio. I just have mostly that shit jacked up. I actually have them lowered just slightly. Effects lowered slightly. Got mine set for headphones and turn tinnitus off if you experience, if you have that shit in real life. I keep that shit off. And then you can turn off the announcer as well. And for interface, that's all up to you. It's just I change mine constantly, just for the recording sake of what I want my screen to look like. And then we got some interesting ones in here. So turn on crossplay in here. I think all the servers are crossplay nowadays. Vehicle driving assistance. If you turn this off, it'll be like DayZ, and you can manually shift vehicles, etc. Mouse aircraft control, I don't use that. I like to use the keys to do that. Persistent aiming down sights, I'm not sure. I just noticed that one for the first time. That's on yes. Automatically equip the next placeable item, yep. Persistent items, yep. I'm not using a controller, so there's all kinds of different settings in here, but here is what I use for a multiplier. On the aim, I guess I don't want to move this, but it's all on 1 times. So I got my mouse zeroed in with my own DPI, but I guess there's a sensitivity curve. I don't really mess with these things. I just get used to one profile and I get adapted to it. Then I don't do any inverting at all. No inverting. And then for field of view on ultra wide, I find that 65 is one of the best ones for the sake of performance. And I feel like that's the most accurate setting for an ultra wide monitor on this game would be 65. But on third person and on vehicles, I have it bumped up slightly to 73. I would probably prefer, say, 70. That's going a little, it gives you a little bit of a fisheye effect. The higher you go, the more it's like fish-eyed. And then I have my settings for my sights like this. This one probably needs to be raised a little bit more for when I'm the immediate ADS, how much your character is focused in on looking through the sight. So I'd say anywhere from 50 to 70 for this one. And the additional focus intensity for PNP, I have that all the way up. That's like when you're fully zoomed, like you can zoom in a little bit with right click, and I think this setting affects your general zoom level. So when you have your weapon down and you're just running around in the field and you hold your right click or you hold your zoom button on controller, I believe this is how far you want that zoom to go. So I have that one maxed out. So here we are inside of AMD Adrenalin on the Arma Reforger. We're in the gaming section, and we're specifically on the profile for Reforger, right? So this is the settings that I use on an ultra wide setup to gain the best smoothness while still trying to push quality in my videos. So the right hand side, I use nothing. It's all default. I've put AMD FreeSync. You want that on AMD optimized. I don't use any of the color profiles because they're really dog shit, to be fair. But maybe you can get a use out of them. There's a vivid and a contrast one. But for the sake of the meat and bones here, we're gonna have AMD fluid motion frames. We're gonna have that enabled. It's a frame generation. I don't know what the difference is from the main frame generation, but I find that this one works really well with Reforger specifically if you're going to stretch your res. So for search mode, you're going to want that on high. You can see in here, high is recommended for a resolution greater than 1440. And then standard is recommended for a 1440 display. So then performance mode, you got quality and performance. You're going to go performance, and on the fast motion, I think that repeat frame is the best option, but I haven't tested blended frame out yet. So going to do a little bit more testing, but for right now, this definitely works on a 9070. All right. None of those upscaling and the main frame gen, we're going to leave those off. Anti-lag, you're going to want that on. Sharpening is up to you. I like to sharpen it up 20 to 30 usually. If you have a FreeSync monitor, you're going to want enhanced sync turned on. I believe enhanced application settings here is a really good option for AMD, but I'm still testing that method as well. So we're just using, let me go back down. So we're using the main default setting here. We're going to go adaptive multi-sampling. You get the best of both worlds, performance and quality. Disabled on this one, morphological, disabled. You're going to want anisotropic filtering bumped all the way to 16. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to want to do this no matter what GPU you're running. You're going to want that bumped up. That's the sharpness of the corners and what's the definition of it here? Texture sharpness. So you're going to want that bumped all the way up. It's going to get your game crisp, right? This one is up to you depending on your hardware. I like to run standard, best of both worlds. You go high for the extra quality, you go performance for the extra frames. Surface format optimization, I wouldn't turn that on unless you're on an older GPU. I know that some of these settings are good, like the morphological and surface format, but I do not use them. Tessellation mode, I just run AMD optimized and I let it do its own thing. One thing I have learned is if you run into any serious performance issues, then you're going to want to override this and you're going to want to set it to 8 or 16. And that will solve a lot of performance issues because it will cap how many polygons that it is going over, how many 3D models. And it could be things in the distance like bushes and undershrub and things like that. So that could affect your game for sure because Reforger has a lot of bushes on majority of the maps. So, and I don't do anything with OpenGL. So that is the main setup for an ultra-wide monitor for this game. And yeah, hope this guys helps out my my AMD guys. Let me know in the comments.